Night Don-O-Mite.
So Dynamite.
This is awesome. This is that, this is this. Hey, everybody. Have a great time.
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Dynamite. What's going on, everyone? Wednesday night, February 5th, 2020. What's up, everyone? Wednesday night, Dynamite is back, episode 20. Man, with those lashes to Cody's back, pretty rough. Brandy showing a little bit of concern for a husband. If people haven't noticed this week, the Nightmare Collective might be sayonara. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the Velveteen Dream returns to NXT. That kind of explains why Roderick Strong wasn't in the match towards the main event tonight. And I tell you, my favorite match of the night, I'll throw it out there right now. You know, Tyler Breeze, Jordan Devlin, tore it up. Got to tell you, it was my favorite match tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of news, and we'll have a lot of fun. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties. Again, I need to remind a lot of you out there that I am still very new to this. This is just my third week of going on video. You know, when you do this for 22 years and it's audio only, you know, I could sit in my house naked, nobody could see anything. I could be just with scruff and just looking like an absolute homeless person. But now with video, I got to put on my best. I got to give you my best. And shout out to everybody checking me out live right now on YouTube. What's up, everyone? Hope everybody enjoyed both shows tonight. Got to give a shout out to the Sausage Fest. I think we got to call them Team Sausage Fest from now on. You know, I tell you, I talked about it last week just a little bit, you know, hyping up the match that was going to take place tonight of Yuka Sakazaki and Britt Baker. And it was funny because you got all these veteran and established podcasters and webmasters that claim they follow everything but didn't even realize that she wrestled in AEW before. Maybe not on Dynamite, but she's wrestled for AEW before. And you think they do a little Google search before making these one-liners. Hey, everybody, look at me. I'm insulting. I'm insulting everybody. Look at me. Look at me. Because I have to tell everybody that I don't like this. You know, look, did Yuka Sakazaki look out of place in the ring tonight with Britt Baker? Yeah, a little bit. But the funny thing about it is, number one, she's pretty much the same height and weight as Alexa Bliss. You know, so, oh my God, how dare you compare the two? But here's the thing that pisses me off more than anything. You know, the country of Japan, their women's wrestling, their culture is completely different of what we have here in the United States. They wrestle different. They act different. The wrestlers are normally smaller in size. You get someone, you know, like a Bertha Faye or someone like that. That's, you know, out of the norm. You don't have 20 Nia Jaxes going around in Japan. But even when they dress, you know, you have one wrestler paying tribute to Queen. You know, you have another wrestler that, you know, she loves a movie. She loves this. In Japan, you're allowed to be animated like that. My God, how many of you go back to me doing the growing up Don Tony stories? And I used to go to this club, Butterfingers in Howard Beach, Queens, back in the early 90s. We'd be in there 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We look at the TV and you saw these Japanese like speed racers shows and, you know, everybody, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's a different culture. So what do you expect Yuka to wear tonight to suit your liking? Jorts? Do you want her to wear jorts? Come on, man. People just love to just criticize and criticize and criticize. I mean, just terrible. Look, was the match kind of terrible? Absolutely. I will talk about that a little bit later. And there was one part tonight that really amused me with the referees, Audrey Edwards and whoever the bald guy's name is. I'll get into that a little bit later. But look, if you follow me on a weekly basis, you know that I am very fair. I will praise a lot of what I see. I will criticize what I see. And I will always tell you my thoughts on everything. And it's not just AEW and NXT. NWA, another good example. Last week on this show, I played the clip of Marty Scurll and Nick Aldis having that little sit down alongside the ring. And Nick Aldis makes the challenge that if you lose, you got to give everybody your money back. What did I do last week? Thumbs down. Stupid. The idea that, and remember when I said, okay, I could see if it's Baltimore because they're doing a free show anyway, but stipulations like that really don't work in 2020 because 9 times out of 10, you're not giving everybody their money back. In fact, 99 out of 100 times, you're not giving their money back. But you see this week, NWA, got to give them credit. They tweaked the storyline a little bit. Nick Aldis saying that he has not received a response from Marty, flux capacitor. He hasn't got a response yet, so he's going to show up, I believe, in Baltimore for the free event and get his answer. And he says that if Marty wants to up the ante a little bit, so be it. So I think this ante will be upped. This idea of giving everybody their money back will go bye-bye. And I think that is excellent. That is excellent. And that's one of the positive things about NWA Power not being a live show every week. You can dissect, absorb, and I'm sure a lot of this was already talked about weeks ago. But the idea that you could tweak things if some items really are not well received, that's a wonderful thing. Another thing that everybody is talking about this week with NWA Power, and I apologize. I seriously, sincerely apologize. I don't know how I forgot this last week, but how cool is it to see Sean Mooney back on wrestling television? I like that they're utilizing him, just doing some interview segments backstage, hyping up stuff. Sean Mooney is great. And I used to love being a kid, not a tiny kid, but being a kid watching WWF in the 90s and Sean Mooney with his stuff. And what was that guy, Greg DeGeorge? Was that his name? But Sean Mooney in NWA, definitely a good deal. I like it. Fits perfect. Absolutely fits perfect. But one thing that I am not happy with, I hope we find out if maybe there was something about royalties, licensing fees. I don't know what the deal is. Shout out to Best in the World. I know we're not doing politics tonight, but yes, Trump did get acquitted. If you notice, and please don't be mad with me, I did take the Trump photo out from the back because since these shows are wrestling, I thought, having something political behind me that might, ruffle a few feathers, because I totally respect everybody's views out there. Respect my views. I respect yours. So out of respect for those that really did not want to see that, albeit for an entire wrestling podcast, I took it out of there. Now, don't forget, during this show today, I am going to do another live unboxing. I don't know if you saw it on my channel on YouTube, but I did an unboxing of that Godfather thing that I ordered, the bootlegs from India, and they were really, really nice. Now, I will tell you about this one. I think I figured out what this is. For those that do not follow me on Twitter and don't know what the deal is with this, on Friday, I get this box shipped to me, and I look at the label, and it's from Shahabi, something like that, Pakistan. No, Shaklat, Pakistan. I don't know what it is. I listen to it. I don't hear ticking. I smell it. It smells like car parts. And just to give, look, I did not try this beforehand, and I should lift the mouse. And I probably should also take my Perrier off the desk because, and hopefully this doesn't break the desk. I want you to hear how loud this is. That thing is loud. It's heavy. It's heavy. So I'm like, what the hell did I order? I didn't order nothing from Pakistan. And I do have viewers and listeners that live in that neck of the woods, but nobody really knows the address where this was shipped to. Then I started thinking, and I think I know what this is. So we're going to open this live later on the air. And, hey, if it ends up going boom, something tells me there's going to be some people out there who will be extremely happy, some podcasters. And we'll see. No, chat side, I have a 1991 Lincoln Mark 7 special edition that I have restored. I posted pictures before online. It's not this. I haven't ordered parts for that car in ages. But I do think I know what this is. I don't want to say it because if it ends up not being that, I'm going to look like a total goof. But we'll open that a little bit later. But getting back to NWA. This is something I know is not pleasing a lot of fans out there. You know, one of the things that NWA has been pushing is this retro 80s feel. Ron says, open it from outside. I got news for you, Ron. Once I get the feel for this, and like I said, give me another 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. I wanted 2 months, to break my cherry and get used to doing this. Once 2 months is in the books, I'm going to start doing things outside, on location. I already set up the capability that I could actually stream live through, the phone. And yeah, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, anybody can do that with YouTube. But I actually have my mixing program. I could hack into my computer and do the regular intros. So we're going to do a lot of stuff later on. And trust me, as I said before, you're going to see a lot of different content put on this channel. You're going to see non-wrestling stuff on there. A lot of you have been wanting me to do baseball stuff for ages. There's going to be some politics stuff, but I promise everybody out there, any political stuff that I get into will be separate clips, separate shows. So this way you could ignore them completely if you don't want to see that. But I'm going to have a lot of people on here. Andre Corbeil is going to be up here. Joey Numbers, Mish is going to be up here. We're all going to be doing video, debating, arguing. I got a few other people that we've talked about. You'd be surprised. And a couple of them do have the blue check. Well, if I do it this way, it's backwards. I guess it would be like... Is that the way to do it for you? Yeah. So a couple of blue check marks said that they would love to, do like a show here and there. So the support has been unbelievable. It's awesome. I absolutely love it. And all of you out there, you're the reason why I'm doing this. But getting back to NWA, let's get to the point. One thing about NWA that a lot of people have enjoyed up to this point is that retro feel to it. From the graphics to the look to the logo. Hey, I didn't buy this shirt because I want to work for them. I bought it because I support NWA. That's why I wear this stuff. I don't, and that's the funny thing too. That's I had a couple of goofs out there that tried to poke fun at me for wearing shirts for wrestling promotion. Like, you don't work for them. Why are you wearing a shirt? And I'm like, why? Because I support them. So I'm wearing it for support. And you might actually like the shirt. And you may actually pick one up. Kabuki Warriors. Kabuki Warrior. I wore that on Monday because few people wanted to see me wear it. I already had one on order. I was like, yeah, I want to show support for the Kabuki Warriors. A lot of us do support them. But the funny thing about it is you have these people that will make fun of you because you're wearing a wrestling company shirt. And then 2 days later, they'll write online, oh, we all should love each other and get along and, whatever makes people happy. These bipolar sausage fest, Team Sausage Fest. That's what we got to call them from now on. They make fun of, I almost said Yakuzawa. You know why I was going to say that? Because I think Jim Ross made the mistakes again tonight. But Beth Phoenix also made one. Didn't she call Mercedes Martinez? I'm very observant, everyone. I can multitask. I watch both shows at the same time. But getting back to NWA Power, the 80s feel, the retro feel. Even the clips and the segments and all those mock, it's awesome. It's excellent. Will it attract the masses? I don't know. But it's doing a great job. I think people forget that NWA Power's only been online for a couple of months. It hasn't been years. It's a couple of months. They're breaking their cherry too. But I don't know if it's a licensing deal. But if anybody missed or did not tune in to this week's Power yet, they have changed the intro song. And I hope to God it's only for 1 week. Instead of Dawkins' Into the Fire, they replaced it with Pantera's I'm Broken. Now, I was a diehard ECW fan since 1993. And I went to a lot of shows. I have all the original episodes on video with the original music. This WWE Network stuff, they just destroyed. You know, for me, theme music is a big deal when you watch stuff. But even, you know, those little montages that ECW used to do, they just butchered it with the music. It's horrible. I mean, I totally understand WWE is a little bit too cheap to pay for Enter the Sandman and, you know, the Gangsters music and stuff like that. But I don't know what the deal is with Into the Fire. Something tells me that licensing fees and royalties for that is very, very low. So Pantera's Unbroken was not a bad song from the 90s. But I got to tell you, and I have a feeling a lot of you are going to agree with me with this. And even though I am fans of them, and that's why I got the little, you know, bobbleheads in the background, whenever I hear Pantera's Unbroken, I think of Beavis and Butthead. Is the NWA now going 90s? I mean, in 3 months, are they going to go 2000s? I just don't like Pantera. And it's nothing against Pantera's Unbroken, but it does not fit into the 80s feel of Into the Fire. Sure, NWA could evolve, should evolve. They definitely should tweak things. But if they're going to keep the same setup, the same look, the same retro graphics, the same feel, and this and that, you know, I think that is a big mistake for them to change that song. And I got news for you. I would say, from what I have seen so far, about 4 out of 5 fans that have commented on this are not thrilled with the change of a song. Now, yes, it's just the change of an intro song. It's not the end of the world. You know, we could, you know, but it's just the point that why would in their right mind think to put a early to mid 90s Beavis and Butthead-ish, you know, Headbangers Ball type of song when NWA Power has no feel to that whatsoever? I don't like that. So I'm just giving you my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I definitely wanted to bring that out there. One other tidbit I think you'll get a kick out of. Zicky Dice, when he made his debut, I showed a lot of love for Zicky Dice. I enjoy the fact that other people are starting to catch on and really enjoy his work as well. He put a little challenge up to fans out there. I think as of a couple of days ago, NWA had 184,000 subscribers on YouTube. He said that if they can increase it by 100,000 by March, I think of next year, maybe he means a month. I mean, somebody wrote a year. I think it's probably more a month because, hell, I want to get 100,000 subscribers in a year. You know, I'm not content with 6,000 in 2.5 weeks. I want 100,000 by. So he's probably meaning a month. That, and plus, Zicky Dice, he doesn't know if he's going to be there a year from now. So I think probably the challenge was for a month. If they can increase the followers on YouTube, the subscribers by 100,000, that he will do something outlandish that the fans actually will choose. And you got people out there that tell him he's going to streak, he's going to do this. He's not going to, you know, go completely naked. But he's got to be careful because I wouldn't be surprised if people start catching on with something with his hairstyle, tweaking something over there. But I think, yeah, Dells, Into the Fire is perfect. You know, I don't know what the chance. Something tells me there might be something with licensing. Hell, I can't even use my original disco, you know, Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. I contacted the record company twice. I said, look, I want to pay the licensing fee. Let me know how much you want. The disco song that I was playing is from 1975. 99% of the people out there had never heard of it before. I mean, why is it so hard to like take 3 weeks to ponder this nobody that just wants to play 30 seconds of it? So, you know, we got this right now. And this song is great as well. I mean, and YouTube has no problem with it. But I am getting a crash course as far as what happens on YouTube with licensing and royalties. And, you know, I'm curious to see what the deal is with NWA's opening song. A lot of buzz this week from NWA Power talking about Eddie Kingston's promo that he cut. just showing a lot of love for Homicide. And a lot of what he said is true in his promo. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I'm sensing a turn down the line. Anyone else feel Homicide versus Eddie Kingston down the line? I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit of that vibe out there. Maybe it doesn't happen, but I don't know. I just got that little bit of a vibe. But, and you know what's cool about this show? You know, when needed, wouldn't force it. But I like that sometimes we can open up the show talking about a different promotion that may not get the amount of airtime than other shows. I guarantee you there's 50,000 other wrestling podcasts tonight all talking about NXT, or they're talking about AEW, but they're not going to bring up MLW. They're not going to bring up New Japan. They're not going to bring up this Fed. They're not going to bring up this Fed. I try to cover not as much as possible, but the promotions out there that you all are observing the most. And this week's episode of Power was good. I mean, from what I remember, I think there was 4 matches on the card. Thunder Rosa over Allison Kay, I think was the main event, and a lot of skits as well. They did one with Tim Storm's grandmama. What was that basketball player? He played Larry Johnson, I think it was. Anybody remember those commercials with grandmama? I had flashbacks of grandmama. Grandmama. Was that what they would say? Grandmama? Eddie Kingston is awesome on the mic. You see, a lot of us have had the privilege of seeing Eddie Kingston for many more years than others. But, you know, he is so polished on the mic, it's like riding a bike for him. And the promo was great. Very real as well. When you could add a little bit of realism in with it, you could hit a home run. He definitely hit a home run. We got to give some congratulatories tonight. Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. They are the proud parents of Carver Mars Bennett, born February 3rd, 3:07 p.m., 8 pounds. So congratulations to both of them. I mean, Mike Bennett has had a lot of battles with painkiller addiction, and trust me, that is not, easy to deal with, especially in a profession that, when your match is done, you're in the back and you're sore as hell, and, you'd probably, and look, I've been taking painkillers since 1996. I still take them. I take only about 1 or 2 a day. Krillin 876. Are they using Steiner still on NWA Power? Who knows, man? See, this is one, and this kind of has to do with what you're talking about. This is one thing that annoys me that I didn't go to YouTube and video a couple of years ago. I make a lot of comments, a lot of remarks, and unfortunately, sometimes my comments get bundled in because I do shows with other hosts, Kevin Castle, Mish, to name 2, and I'll say something, and like, oh, yeah, I remember this show said this, and I'm like, sometimes, it's nice to be people actually listening to what one particular person says. And I said a year and a half or 2 years ago that AEW was going to be the first millennial promotion out there. People understand now, and I've explained many, many times back then why I felt that way. I think people, it's safe to say that I was spot on with that, and this is before they even had their first event. You could kind of feel it from the net. I also said back in December, in December, that I made a prediction that 2020 was going to be the year of commingling. And I'm sure a lot of you remember me saying that, and I explained why. You're going to see a lot of promotions teaming up with each other. And yes, that's always happened over the years. But last year, everybody thought about New Japan, Ring of Honor, Madison Square Garden. That was the one that everybody focused on. But I said 2020 is going to be the year of commingling. You're going to see a hell of a lot of promotions doing business with other promotions. New Japan and Ring of Honor, obviously that continues. But even this week, MLW made 2 announcements that they are now going to have a strategic alliance with Dragon Gate, and they're also going to co-promote an event in Tijuana with AAA. So MLW, look, they actually have a nice little niche right now with their product. You could, if you watch their product for 2 or 3 weeks, it's not something that I can explain in 45 seconds, but you watch their product for a couple of weeks, you could see what their nucleus is, what they focus on. The problem with Impact Wrestling, I've said it for the last year and a half, 2 years, that it feels like they have no identity. You know, when the Broken Universe left and they started releasing a lot of people, and I'm going to talk about a major signing that WWE did yesterday, actually 2 people. I know everybody out there was doing this about one person, but we got to show respect for other people who have signed as well. But, you know, the thing with Impact Wrestling is they lost their identity. And they're trying so many different things to try to get attention, get buzz. And, you know, it feels like, and it's no fault to the wrestlers because everybody there is really working hard. I don't think anybody would dispute that. But it's like, let's throw crap on the wall and see what sticks. So they right now, I mean, come on, they're doing that reunion show in Florida. They wanted the Young Bucks. They want the Generation Me to go there. And the Young Bucks are like, yeah, okay. They're the ones that, you know, if Joe Blow's Wrestling Federation had a relationship with them sometime in the last 15 years, they will work with anybody right now because it's, but you see MLW, you know, making a strategic alliance with Dragon Gate and with AAA. Now you look at, see, and this is an important thing also. Nothing against Impact Wrestling. And I swear this is not an Impact Wrestling crap on parade because, you know, there's a few things going on. Next week, they're going to show the match between Taya Valkyrie and Jordan Grace. I think a lot of you already out there know what's going to go down with that. I'm going to pay attention to it because I heard from all fan accounts that it was pretty good for what they did. You have Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards, match 2 of their best, I think, of 7, right? Krillin 876. Did I ever go to House of Glory? No, I did not. Originally, true story, WrestleMania weekend, we were all going to get together. Lucky 13, obviously you all know, was myself, Mish, Draper, Joey Numbers, Jason Solomonster was there, Shaheen Nuclear Heat was there. But earlier that afternoon, for like 2 or 3 weeks before, we were all going to meet up at House of Glory and hang out there. And it was Kev Castle that had said to us that he's got connections there to get us tickets, get us this, get us a table. And as it got closer, you know, we didn't hear anything about tickets. And I remember Mish and I saying, look, you know, we don't need freebies. I mean, House of Glory ain't $500 a ticket. Let's just all get together and go anyway. So then it ended up, well, my contact is no longer there, and this and that, and, you know, next thing you know, well, we don't have a table, and well, it is. So it just did not happen. I definitely, without a doubt, want to go to House of Glory. I will guarantee everybody that before the end of 2020, you will see yours truly at least 1 or 2 events. I'm already trying to work to go to GCW. Valentine's weekend next week is kind of hard because we were going to stay at the Showboat, my fiance and I. The problem is that the Showboat no longer has a casino in there. And, you know, it's not me so much because I was going to go to GCW and hang out with a lot of you crazy mofos out there. And we're going to talk about that in a moment, too, because I got a couple of pictures to share with everybody out there. But the thing is that, you know, late at night, having my fiance walk from the Showboat down the boardwalk to another casino, you know, look, I'm a little old-fashioned and I'm not familiar with that area, and I don't want to do that. So Valentine's weekend, I think it's only fair that I get laid, you know, and I already checked the calendar, so I don't have to worry about any interruptions or any bloody incidents. So, yeah, so Valentine's weekend is kind of a little bit off, but I can tell you that March 28th in Philadelphia, Shaheen is involved in a wrestling promotion. From what I read, Mish is going to be doing commentary. And my birthday's March 27th, the day before. So if they're going to have a keto cake for yours truly, even though I don't celebrate birthdays, you'll probably see me in Philly for March 28th. And, of course, we have AEW coming to Newark, and I'm already working on some tickets there. So you're going to see a lot of us getting together. You know, people are going to ask, oh, is this going to be a person? It's going to be a person. You can't ask me. You have to ask those people. But, you know, I go where I want to go. I no longer will go to places based on other people wanting to go. I'd rather just go to places that I want to go. And you'll see me around, absolutely. But, just getting back to MLW a little bit, the one good thing that I love about them working with Dragon Gate and AAA is this, and this is my point I was making with Impact earlier. Nothing against the talent there. When you saw them go to Mexico, some of the matches just felt like they did not click. It just felt like, all right, let's just do an event in Mexico and we'll put blah, blah, blah. And look, they obviously have some talent that could work with the talent from Mexico. But if you look at Dragon Gate and you look at MLW, you look at AAA, you look at MLW, there are quite a few combinations of matches. You're like, okay, yeah, I could get into that. It feels more of like a better fit. So I think this is wonderful for MLW, absolutely. And I'm very curious to see, what matches end up down the line. Now, very big news to share with everybody out there. I think a lot of you already are aware of it. But for those that may not be aware of it, I woke up this morning and had this picture emailed and PM'd to me repeatedly. And I'm like, oh, man, this is awesome. For those that don't know who they are, that is Timothy Thatcher, who has wrestled in Evolve, who has wrestled in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Progress, Revolution Pro, Combat Zone Wrestling, IPW, and, of course, Killer Kross. Killer Kross. Anybody that follows my show on a regular basis, you know my support for Killer Kross, especially with all that garbage that was going on with him in Impact Wrestling. They are both now on WWE's roster. They are at the Performance Center, maybe not right now at 10:47 p.m., but that is two great adds to WWE. I would love to see Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux come up to the main roster together, especially since WWE does like to pair some women with some men sometimes. I don't know what's going on with this year with a mixed match challenge. Maybe they will do that again. I think they would be a perfect couple to be involved with that. I know you can't compare the two, but some people will say, yeah, okay. If Scarlett Bordeaux and Killer Kross debuted on WWE television, whether it be NXT or the main roster, it gave me flashbacks of Skip and Sonny, Body Donnas, Chris Candido, God rest his soul, Tammy Sitch. Because they had that strong relationship beforehand and the fact that they debuted on the main roster together now, especially when you look at Candido and Tammy, before they even went to ECW, before they even went to WWE, they were doing a lot of work in USWA? It was in Memphis. So they had that pairing for a while, and they really gelled together. And I think that chemistry, especially when you have a real-life relationship, that chemistry is even better because you have that true emotional, physical attachment to the other person. And you could practice all night long, all week. I wouldn't do that, but the only thing you got to be prepared for as well, especially in the WWE, that you always got to wonder if WWE down the line does what they did with Lana and Rusev. You always got to be concerned about the storyline where it's Splitsville or maybe some controversy or maybe some. So let's see what happens. Look, he just signed, and Timothy Thatcher as well. I'm telling you, you guys and gals out there may not know too much about this guy, but believe me when I tell you, you just go search. And, somebody had asked me about tonight, if there was one match, a lot of you have seen Killer Kross because of Impact Wrestling and stuff, but if there was one match that I would suggest for anybody out there to go look at, and look, Thatcher has had great matches with Matt Riddle. He's had great matches with other performers. But I think if there was one match that I could direct you to right now to watch, and it's against someone who is currently in WWE television, and don't be surprised if you see this match possibly happen again in the future, go check out Chapter 62, Progress, his match against Walter. See that match, and you'll get a crash course of what Timothy Thatcher is all about. Timothy Thatcher, I believe, is going to be 37 next month, and Killer Cross is around 35. So they definitely still have some years left to tear it up. But congrats to both of them. I mean, I know they've been busting their ass. You know, and this is something that I brought up last year doing a history show. And at the time, this is before Lars had, you know, some controversy with stuff online before he even made it to the main roster. But something I said about a year and a half ago is that, you know, all the years of me watching wrestling, going back to 1979, other than maybe Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, and a few others, you rarely came across, Cesaro's another one. Absolutely, Brian Long. Yeah, I mean, there's some phenomenal, you realize the match setups that WWE can have that fans have not seen. I mean, it's going to be really, it's good. I hope he connects with the fans, Thatcher especially. Cross, obviously, his promos are amazing and his work in the ring, and Killer Cross reminds me of what is missing in this business, like a Jake the Snake Roberts, very methodical. You know, his promos really get you nervous. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, he is friendly with the shows and everything. I'm happy for the guy, you know, but now it's his turn to continue climbing up the ladder, you know, so I wish him well. I wish Timothy Thatcher well. I just wish people out there would show some love to Timothy Thatcher, because all I've seen for the last 12, 16 hours is all really one-sided. Another person I want to mention that I have a feeling some of you have already seen, in case you don't know who this is Aja Smith, and she actually wrestled for the last 4 or 5 years on the indie circuit. She wrestled for the United States, Mexico, Japan. She signed a deal with WWE as well. Now, one tidbit that you may not know, she got a tryout with WWE back in December, and she really impressed, but WWE wants to use her as a referee. And this was a hard decision for her to make because she's still very young. She obviously still has years ahead of her to continue wrestling, but she is now going to be a referee for WWE, and WWE is already hyping her and announcing her as the first full-time African-American female referee signed with WWE. She has held the Shine Nova title and the tag team title. And the interesting thing about it is WWE, when they mentioned her tag team title win, they left out who her tag team partner was. And for those that are curious, her tag team partner was none other than Big Swole. So congrats to her as well. Like I said, you know, a lot of people out there, they'll tweet bang and, you know, make everybody gush about one particular person, but you know, numerous people have been signing deals. So best wishes, good luck to all of them, definitely without a doubt. Now, one quick plug. I put the link on this video channel, and I'm going to have it on my website as well. I know a lot of you out there are familiar with the case, the missing woman, Samantha Fiddler, who is the ex-girlfriend of Teddy Hart. Some people have tried to cause controversy, saying that Teddy Hart may have had to do with her disappearance. Andre Corbeil, the last day or two, did an interview with the detective that is actually handling this case. And the detective got into some very interesting specifics regarding her disappearance, some of the alibi that Teddy Hart has claimed in the past. I don't want to give anything away because, honestly, this case, if you're looking for gossip and if you're looking for tweet banging, don't even waste your time. Don't even look at this because, you know, go join the Sausage Fest and just make fun of AEW with the other folks out there. But if you really want to find some interesting details and you really do care about this woman being missing, go watch this video because a lot of very interesting things are pointed out. And, you know, there's going to be a phone number there as well. I mean, somebody out there, especially in the indie wrestling world or the biker, you may know something. So it's a very interesting interview. I admit I've only seen about a third of it so far. I just had so much stuff going on tonight. And I'm sweating like a pig right now. I don't know why it's so freaking hot in here, man. So I don't know if it's coming across in the video, but I am hot as hell. I may have to take the jacket off. Man, is it hot in here. But anyway, AEW, couple of announcements tonight. We'll talk about what's going to happen in 2 weeks, next week, 3 weeks. AEW's already trying to have people mark on their calendar. 3 weeks from now, Iron Man match, Pac versus Omega. That's going to happen. But the big announcement that I think a lot of you may not even be aware of already is this. AEW is going to be returning to once again the MGM Grand. I'll put a bigger picture up. May 23rd, 2020. That will be their next pay-per-view after Revolution, which is a little bit interesting because if you look at the date of Revolution, that is like 3 weeks. 3 weeks. About 3 months after Revolution? So Revolution is going to take place, and then this next one is not going to be for 3 months. And look, what's happening now with Moxley is you may not have a problem with it, but this is sort of the casualty of having pay-per-views so far in between. Now, me personally, AEW doing pay-per-views every 2.5 to 3 months, I'm fine with that. But you see what's happening now with Moxley. Moxley fights Ortiz. Moxley will fight Santana. Moxley will soon fight Guevara. Moxley will team up with someone and fight this. So you're going to see this milked and milked and milked because it's so still several weeks away. Now, we're getting a little bit closer, so it's easier now to do this. But once Revolution is over, you realize that you're not going to have you're going to have 3 months to be hyping up the next pay-per-view. You'll probably have 1 and 2 title changes before the next pay-per-view. And if you have a specific feud, now look at Moxley versus Jericho. Let's look at that feud. That's obviously the number one most important item of their organization right now. That is the big ratings draw. That's what everybody is talking about. But if this feud continues into another pay-per-view, how do you keep fans interested in this storyline for 3 months? What are you going to do? Suspension angle for 30 days? Are you going to, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not going to be like one of these members of Team Sausage Fest. I am not going to rip it and criticize it before it happens. We have to wait and see. And again, this is a new promotion, and a lot of the people behind the scenes may have worked in wrestling for 10, 20 years. But as far as handling a wrestling company and pun intended, the sausage making, the grind of every single week and so much pressure, that's something that they didn't have before. They would just hop on a plane, wrestle in a company, stay at the hotel. Next day, hop on a plane, go to this place, wrestle, go in a hotel, hop on this plane. This is totally different. So although I have expressed my opinions that they need to have someone to oversee it and someone that doesn't have the last name Khan, everybody behind the scenes is really trying. So it's still a very new process. We're in the age where everything has to be, done, smooth, veteran. Just people cannot wait. And I just think it's very unfair. It's very unfair. And, it's just funny to see all the people out there that throw stones. And then a week later, they'll be like, I don't understand why people throw stones. Unbelievable. But look, AEW, they had some issues tonight. One I particularly loved, and I'm going to bring this up out of nowhere. The Yuka Sakazaki versus Britt Baker match. All right. I invite you to go back and look at it because I laughed because this is exactly what I've been talking about. And I appreciate JR for saying this. If you notice, I am now starting to come up with names for certain things that I see. People may remember last year, when with Kofi, getting those abrupt wins on Smackdown because it was going off the air. And I remember one time, I think it was Kevin Owens hit like 3 or 4 power moves, and Sami Zayn in another match hit like 3, 4, 5 power moves, one after the other. And then Kofi would hit what I would call the 959. Because he would just hit one kick, I look at the clock, it's 9:59, and he gets the win, and SmackDown goes off the air. Well, I have now coined some of what Aubrey Edwards does as the Home Alone. And a great example of that tonight was Britt Baker. At one point, was in the middle of the ring, and she had Yuka Sakazaki in the middle of the ring, and she's grabbing Yuka's hair. I keep saying Yuka's hair, and is pulling back really, really hard. And, this is exactly what I've been talking about. This is not AEW in the back telling them to do this. I just don't believe that. But instead of the referee going 1, 2, 3, counting to 5, because Britt Baker is yanking her hair back. This is what Aubrey Edwards did. It's the Home Alone. It's the Home Alone. And JR, even on commentary, said, "Ref, break the hold, ref, break the hold." I mean, she just was looking at it like this. And I'm like, come on. There was even a point, Joey Janela versus Kip Sabian. There's a point in the match early on where Joey Janela is kicking the top of Kip Sabian's head in the corner. And the referee is counting to 5, like, break the hold, break the hold, break the hold. And I'm like, really? What about earlier in the night when you had the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega doing synchronized suicide divers, or as Excalibur says, suicidas? And all three of them, Young Bucks and Omega, are in the ring, triple teaming the other. And this referee, again, I invite you, go back and look at it. The referee is doing the Home Alone. He keeps touching his hair. Yeah, you're bald. Stop it. You don't have to keep touching your hair. I mean, this is like a retarded version of Too Cool when they used to clap. This is what he's doing. Every time there's triple three. Take a shot. Every time that bald son of a, I haven't cursed yet tonight. I didn't forget about those prizes last week. Every time that guy does that, take a shot. You'll be drunk off your butt. So, and then here's the best part. Now we're supposed to believe that Britt Baker is doing mouth moves that are so bad that people's teeth are getting knocked out. If you're going to sell that Sakazaki's tooth got knocked out and she's bleeding from the mouth and this and that, cameraman, do not zoometh on this tooth. It's like the Iron Sheik. Cameraman, do not zoometh. They zoomed in right into her mouth. Where's the missing tooth? If you looked at the tooth up close, it ain't a molar. It was a front tooth. And the best part is, if you're going to buy a fake tooth and then tell her, put it in your mouth and spit it out, maybe you try to buy a tooth that matches her teeth color a little bit. I mean, this was CM Punk yellow. It was just, it was just goofy. By the way, if you look, Britt Baker is trying. She's not the worst in the world. I just thought that, should we start calling that the worst in the world? Did we ever coin that phrase for any other woman in wrestling? I mean, we had CM Punk with the best in the world. Could we call it a worst in the world? I don't think she's the worst in the world, but, it was one time where Sakazaki, went to flip her over. She grabbed Britt Baker's head and Britt Baker's supposed to flip over. She did what, a jobber used to do on WWF TV in 1983. She just flipped over she didn't even know what the hell she was doing. The match was not good. Sakazaki tried, for people out there, again, like I said earlier, if you don't follow Japanese wrestling, fine. If you don't follow Japanese women wrestling, fine. If you don't follow Yoshi or Stardom or any of these others, fine. Nobody forces you to. But when you get an international wrestler that comes from a different country, that has a totally different style, a totally different look, that the average female wrestler there is Alexa Bliss size. And yes, Alexa Bliss and Sakazaki are pretty much the same height and weight, but because, this is AEW and it's a woman you haven't seen. But just because her dress attire is not what you normally see when you tweet bang, I wouldn't be insulting her. I'm just saying. I mean, everybody has a right to say whatever they want, but, you know, and there'll always be 50 or 100 people that'll, you know, do this to you. But, man, show a little respect. You know, you go to that country and you look like a goof, but you look fine here in the United States. How would you feel if all the Japanese social media, and they wouldn't do that. That's the difference. Japanese social media, Japanese fans out there, they respect talent a lot more than people do in the United States. Everybody's got to make fun of everybody. Everybody's got to do the one-liner and this and that. You know, before you make fun of someone else's look, here's an idea. Unfortunately, I don't have any mirrors in this room, but I think you know where I'm going with that. So, but let's be honest. I would have rather seen Sakazaki with Hikaru Shida, Riho, Little Big Swall, no Mel. And by the way, I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Nightmare Collective, I don't know if you want to say that it's all but history, but they did something this week on AEW Dark where the Nightmare Collective turned on each other. You had Mel and you had Dr. Luther turn on Awesome Kong. Now, word going around is that Awesome Kong may be injured, and that's why they had to write her off. And if that's the case, that is really, really terrible, because Awesome Kong, with the idea of cutting the women's hair, and, you know, everybody, for the most part, is a fan of her. She was awesome in TNA. You know, it's unfortunate what happened in WWE. She did phenomenal work in Glow. So to see this happen, you know, it's a shame. Now, you could see where AEW really wanted a big woman to be the focal point of the feud for Riho. And next week, it's Nyla Rose versus Riho for that title. And, you know, Nyla Rose tried to put Riho through a table tonight in the back, and the table didn't fully break. I mean, you know, Riho is tiny, and, you know, I don't know. I mean, but Nyla Rose, you almost feel like, okay, you know, maybe they're going to now go with Nyla Rose being the champion. We'll see what happens. I'm a little curious if they put the belt on her next week, especially with Revolution being only 2 weeks away. But then again, maybe the Women's Championship is not going to be a big focal point or a feud leading into there. You know, there was something online earlier in the week that I made a little comment on. But again, you know, unless I write something really catchy, or unless I write a woe is me tweet or look at me tweet, most people don't pay attention to it. But Chris Statlander, she tweeted, and she did something that WWE women do more than anything. And she's like, hey, AEW, you know, how's about giving me a title shot and stop putting me in matches like this? Now, I did find it a little amusing at first, because I'm like, girl, how long have you been in AEW and you're already making demands, girl? I don't think so. But then here's where wins and losses, and this idea that AEW wants to do it, wins and losses, doesn't work. And I have been adamant about this since last year. I don't like the focus on wins and losses, because when Chris Statlander wrote that last week, you had a lot of people on social media that were agreeing with her, that are defending her. Chris Statlander is talented. She's obviously got to have more seasoning, but she's talented. And a lot of fans are like, yeah, why don't you give her a title shot? My first instinct was, okay, the record's reset in 2020. Let's look up Chris Statlander's win-loss record as a single star in 2020. Will you look at that? Since January 1st, 2020, Chris Statlander's singles record in AEW is an impressive, outstanding 0-1. That's it. So I'm like, all right, AEW, you want to do the wins and losses so much? What are you going to do about Statlander? She's had one singles match in 2020 and she lost it. This is why you can't focus on wins and losses. You put her in a title match, not because she's 5-2. And you can't do that in a predetermined entertainment world because you never know who's going to catch fire. You job somebody out for weeks and months, and then all of a sudden, zap, connection with the fans. All right, you saw what happened with Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy, AEW caved in. They did that match with him and Jericho, which I had no problem with. You remember my whole Rocky storyline that, I wanted to see happen. Didn't happen. And again, I'm pissed that I didn't go to video sooner because I would have loved to have seen the YouTube reaction to that idea. But what happened? As soon as they announced that match, you have people making these memes. 0-8. 0 wins, 8 losses. Explain that one, AEW. And AEW caved and said, oh, no, it's not for the title. Stupid. The wins and losses is not a bad idea, an instinct. But when you're in an entertainment world and certain people have certain momentum that you may not have expected, and the opposite, some of the people you're building up, remember what I complained about last year? Pac was number 1 contender, ranked number 1. He had an unbelievable record. How was Pac's heavyweight title shot? How was that match, everybody? So there are a lot of holes in that. I will say this. It feels like that they're cutting back a little bit about the focus of the wins-loss. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that the last 2 weeks. Remember, we're only in the first week in February, so 2020 is only 5 weeks in. But it feels the last week or two that they've kind of pulled back a little bit on the win-losses. Win-losses are fine to bring up once in a while, but to use too much focus on that you're running into problems. And you've seen multiple problems of that already. And sure, maybe we wouldn't have focused on that if it was WWE, but again, this is still a new promotion. It's still a new company. And, in a way, you want them to have issues like this because you want to see how they address those issues. One thing I will tell you about AEW, and I'll even give credit to Ring of Honor, because Kerry Silkin, as much as I've had my opinions on him in the past, he commented last week and he talked about how Ring of Honor had a tough 2019. And they're going to work to really improve in 2020. And, last year it felt like Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling were 1-2 in contention of who's going to, go out of business first. Ring of Honor is admitting to their mistakes. They're addressing their mistakes. Now, they haven't fixed their mistakes yet, but, that's one thing that I'll always respect. If someone has a problem or someone, has something going on, it takes a lot of balls and it takes a lot of guts to come straight out and admit when you have a problem. It's very easy in the social media world to tweet or write or say something long enough and people start believing you. Or if you come off as really friendly online, oh, he's such a wonderful person. He's such a great guy, or she's such a great woman. She's a sweetheart. How could anybody say this and this is that? And then I'm saying to myself, what do you know about this person? What do you really know about this person? Well, I've been talking to him or her online for years, and, I've been listening to this person for years. What do you know? There's so much hidden and shadiness. You know nothing. You know nothing. That's why even the opposite, when I went to video, it's amazing how many of you out there that said, my God, DT, you're the complete opposite of what I always perceived you to be. Yes, I heard your voice every week, but totally different. And, it's on both sides. You eventually see someone in a different way, in a good point or in a bad point. But when you could admit your mistakes and you can admit your faults and you're transparent about it, that's a good thing. And I got to give Ring of Honor credit. Now, look, Vince McMahon and Stephanie and Shane have done that in the past. That they've admitted in the ring, oh, we're listening. We're going to give you what you want. Give me what I want. Give me what I need. And a year goes by and nothing. They fall right back. So, look, right now it could be all smoke and mirrors for Ring of Honor, but I think Ring of Honor is seeing NWA building momentum. You see MLW, obviously, build them up. Is MLW going to be the new number 2 anytime soon? No, I don't think it'll ever. Will Ring of Honor ever be a number 2? No, never. Would Impact Wrestling ever return to be a number 2? Highly unlikely. So, if you know where you are in the world of pro wrestling, then you know what your goals are. And, you can't pretend to be something that you're not. And you could strive for the moon, but you also have to be very realistic about it. And I think Ring of Honor is really starting to realize, and this is another reason why I said last year, 2020 will be the year of commingling. You see, in this promotion merge with this one doing work with this one doing a strategic alliance with this one. You can't just live off of New Japan and Ring of Honor, WrestleMania weekend or the month or 2 leading up to it, and then try to tread water for 10 months. There's only so many times people are going to go back to the well for water, so we'll see what happens. But speaking of New Japan, they were in Atlanta, Georgia last week, and we had Tama Tonga and Tongaloa beat David Finlay and Juice Robinson to win the IWGP Tag Team titles. And a lot of Bullet Club, storylines starting to be put together. WrestleMania weekend. I think right now, looking at every promotion out there, everybody seems to have something different to offer WrestleMania weekend. So if you're one of the privileged to be in Florida WrestleMania weekend, I don't think you can make a mistake going to any of these feds. I think everybody out there is going to deliver. And man, if you could go see 2 or 3 shows that weekend besides WrestleMania, I think you'll have a weekend to remember. And that's why I still say it. The idea, I just think AEW did not want to have an event WrestleMania weekend. I think they did not, because no matter what they did, unless they sold out 80,000 seats, they would be compared to WrestleMania, which is totally unfair. But because of what's going on Wednesday, anything they do would be compared to WWE. And I think with so many shows lined up that weekend, and that comparison is going to be tossed in your face, and God forbid AEW does a poor turnout in Florida WrestleMania weekend, which I honestly don't think so. I think they would sell out pretty much anywhere they wanted to book. But I think that was too much of a risk their first year to take. But AEW would be absolutely moronic not to take advantage of that next year, WrestleMania, because something tells me when AEW does their WrestleMania, whatever you want to call it, Double or Nothing or another pay-per-view that they do, if WWE could throw an NXT, within 10, 20 miles of, AEW's WrestleMania, something tells me WWE would take that every single time. You got to maximize your input. And look, give credit for AEW for this. Although I did notice something. I don't know if any of you noticed this out there, but you see this? That is the page that AEW bought to be in the Super Bowl program this year. They were featured in the Super Bowl program. That is the page. Now, did anybody out there notice something that I noticed right away? Can you figure it out? Did anybody out there? Could you notice it? Do you see what's glaring about that picture? You know what? Right now, live in the chat, if anybody could figure out what I noticed. No, it's not 3D. Tell me what you noticed about that program. If you follow AEW closely, there's something that happened with this program that has happened before that has pissed off fans. Anybody in the chat? I know there's like a 5-second delay, but I'm only going to give people like 30 seconds to come up with it. What is different about that program that, I took notice right away? Not that it's super expensive. By the way, for the people that were complaining about the food prices at the Super Bowl, they never been to Yankee Stadium and a lot of other places. The only thing that I thought was a little bit way over the top price was the popcorn. But the water, the beer, and all the other stuff, chicken fingers, French fries at the Super Bowl, that's what you find in a lot of other places. Smokey the Bear. Smokey. Definitely PM me if you're on Twitter, @DonTonyD. Your choice of any t-shirt or video, any fed, could be any podcast, anything. Yeah, Hangman Page is not featured on that program. I noticed it right away. Hangman Page is not on that program. Now, it's interesting because when they released the Double or Nothing pay-per-view poster today, my first thought was, wait a minute, let's see if Hangman Page is on there. And sure enough, he is. So something tells me that the Hangman Page Kenny Omega feud, that's probably not going to go down or culminate until Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing. So, Andre Corbeil, my pleasure, my friend. You worked hard on that interview, and that's definitely a big grab. And I have told you many times privately, it's pretty sad that, other people in the podcast and the website world that will just ignore, plugs and stuff like that. But meanwhile, they want you to support them to the moon. I see that repeatedly, and I hate it. And the other thing I hate about social media, how many of you out there have experienced this? And I brought this up before. You tweet a question to your favorite website or writer or podcaster. You tweet them a question. And you ask them a question. And their response is alike. They don't answer your question. How many of you have done? I see it every week, almost every day. And I don't see it as much anymore because I mute a lot of people. Not block, but I mute a lot of people. But like you could picture them in their house. They wake up, they go take a leak, and before they go back to bed, let me see how many likes I got there. Oh, look at all these tweets I got. And instead of just actually answering the questions, like, happens all the time. But, it's nice to see Hangman Page on the pay-per-view for Double or Nothing, that poster. But Hangman Page has been omitted on a lot of AEW media. You'd be surprised. And he's taken notice, and some fans have taken notice. I took notice, and I noticed even on the Super Bowl program, and I can't believe that they didn't do something on TV. I can't believe that Hangman Page wasn't in the back today drinking his pitcher of beer, even if he had the argument with the Young Bucks, and look in the Super Bowl program and say, how come they're not in here? Look, I got ignored again. That's another reason to give Hangman Page a reason to be angry. And nothing. No mention, no nothing whatsoever. But it is what it is. Now, I just want to mention this quickly because here's where a lot of esteemed journalists and webmasters out there that claim they follow New Japan and Japanese wrestling, how many of them got exposed this week? How many of you saw this? Good, right? Good, awesome, good. And then you saw those same people. Bad. What are they doing to Minoru Suzuki? How could they do that? Orange Cassidy is going to be garbage. Remember, good, bad. They know nothing about Minoru Suzuki's career. I could not believe look, regular fans that aren't used to Japanese wrestling, that may have only gotten introduced to Minoru Suzuki the last couple of months because of all the clips you see on social media. I could understand that. But when you have people who claim that they follow this, they follow that, they do this, and then I'm seeing these people like writing these, again, tweet bangs, oh, this is awesome. This is so cool. Oh, man, they're going to kill each other. I can't wait. This is going to be epic. What the hell are they doing to Minoru Suzuki? Orange Cassidy, it's going to be a joke. They have no idea. Do you ever see the pile driver that Suzuki did in the lake? What was it to? What was it? The Mummy? I mean, that guy is so freaking entertaining. That is one guy out of anybody in Japan right now, I think I would probably pop. In fact, look, no BS. Anything that's behind me on my wall are things that I like and that's cool. I didn't even mention this. I'm not trying to be Chris Van Vliet now doing an interview. Look. So I would love to see that guy on TV on a regular basis here in the United States. But man, I got news for you. This match for Joey Janela Spring Break 4, that's going to be pretty freaking good. I'm telling you. You know, it just blew me away, the people out there that were so irate over it. Good, bad. The fuck out of here. Ah, damn it. I cursed. All right, first person that, you know, writes curse. First person in the chat room that writes curse. First person gets t-shirt or video. Let's see who does it. Let's see who's going to get it. It can't be that guy again. No. Somebody, come on. I know there's a little delay. First person. And I have to name drop the person because then I got to go through with the prize. So nobody's going to write it? Wow, I don't have to give away nothing? All right, okay. It's going to happen right about now. We're going to see it. No, not Matthew, not Richard. Chat. Chat. Come on, boo. I've given you stuff for it. No, I'm only kidding. I know your contact info, so PM me. Any video or I'll even give one to Quadruple H. So you want to open this thing? Should we open this thing now? All right, here's the deal. All right. I've ordered a lot of things online for the last month or two. Stuff for work, stuff for my house, Valentine's Day stuff, shirts, things for here. I got a new hard drive that I want to put in because I want my computer as fast as possible. This way there's no issues whatsoever in video. Believe me when I tell you, balls is not a curse word, but I am going ball. I'm taking this very, very seriously. I'm going balls out because I think in a couple of months by the summertime, I hope that this becomes one of your favorite YouTube channels to go to. Never in a million years I ever envisioned doing this, but I'm having a ball, and I got to thank you all. And never be afraid to give me some constructive criticism. You're going to try to just troll and say, "Oh, I'm an AEW, penis sucker, and I'm a this, I'm a that." I criticize a lot about AEW. I criticize stuff about NXT too. Yes, I spend more time on AEW because it's a newer promotion, and NXT. Unfortunately, NXT does not have the attention-grabbing moments on a weekly basis. It's much more organized. They have an agenda to give certain people opportunities, and it's not as exciting. I mean, how far do you expect me to talk about Tyler Breeze's match today? His match with Jordan Devlin was my favorite of both shows tonight. But if I stood here and spent 2-3 minutes on Jordan Devlin versus Tyler Breeze, you probably would all go change the channel. Unfortunately, that doesn't get as much press as other matches. And I hope you noticed tonight, like I tweaked this show a little bit, that so far we've gone, an hour and 12 minutes? Then not too bad. But as far as getting into match by match, I'm not going to do that, like other shows out there. I will comment about certain things here and there. And I will mention a few other things about AEW tonight. So anyway, long story short about this box, I got this in the mail. If you go on my Twitter, @DonTonyD, I actually put up the details of the shipping label. I just blocked out my address. And I got this box from Pakistan. And again, it smells like car parts. And I'm like, what the hell did I order? I checked eBay. I checked Amazon. I checked a few other places where I ordered some things, and I could not find anything where I ordered something from Pakistan. Even with the bobbleheads. I know my bobbleheads are made in China. But this, I'm like, where's this? Why is this coming from Pakistan? And then I started thinking about things that I ordered. This is cool. If this is what I think it is, this is going to be really cool. And if this ends up being what I think it is and it's really, really nice, then I will put up the information tomorrow where you can get one also. But I will tell you that when I got this, I'm like, I didn't order nothing from Pakistan. But it was a very heavy box. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this is. And I had an idea. It's not ticking. It is. My friends, this is going to be a trivia or probably a Patreon prize in the near future. But I got this delivered on Friday. And again, this son of a bitch is really freaking heavy. Now, I don't know if this company is going to be all happy about this. I don't know if this is like a bootleg place or not. I don't think it is. But I just got delivered to me Friday from Pakistan, AEW World Heavyweight Championship belt. This freaking thing is heavy. I mean, it looks really nice. Somebody was hooking me up because I wanted to put this on the prize wall on Patreon for our patrons. But I think it looks nice. I mean, I don't see anything that looks cheap about it. And again, this son of a bitch is heavy. I'm going to drop this down on the table. Ready? It's freaking heavy. This is not like a plastic replica belt. This is all... So, yo, I think it's pretty cool. This is not for me to keep. I'm going to give this away in the future. You know, maybe we'll do something big like this once a year. So it's got the snaps. I'm not going to put it on because then people have the right to call me a goof. But it's got the snaps. You know what's cool? I like the AEW on the snaps as well. But should we put it up there? Oh, by the way, there's the Deli Man mask. But let's see. How's that? Is that all right? That looks all right? Yeah? I don't know. Jabroni. So, yeah. So, I ordered that through somebody that I trust. It looks like there's food particles in there. Maybe that's cardboard. I don't know. But not bad, man. Not bad. Shout out to Botch Club. Yeah, Botch Club on Friday. I will put some information. You know, he wants this Jimmy Miranda Award to go through with WWE. This is not a WWE show. I'll talk about it on Friday. Or maybe I'll even talk about it on Monday. We've all wanted that award to go down in WWE. But that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a nice prize to give away in the future. But if anybody out there is serious that really wants to get one of these belts, I'll send you privately the details of this person. You could get in touch with him. But it appears that he's got somebody in Pakistan that's making this. So, you know, and I don't know if the money is going to like Hamas or a terrorist group or anything like that. But hey, not for nothing, but, you know, if your local terrorist can make a great AEW heavyweight belt like that, you know, I haven't seen anybody else have a replica belt. That's pretty impressive. I think whoever that is did good work. To the person who hooked me up with this guy, bravo, because I honestly wasn't sure. You know, I honestly did not know that it was going to be the AEW belt in here. I started thinking, like, wait a minute. I know I ordered this through this guy, but he told me I wasn't getting it until like late February, early March, that it was going to take quite a while to get done. But pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, thank God we didn't have any AEW porch pirates stealing that. But all right, so we opened it up. My apologies to the haters out there. I didn't go boom. I didn't blow up. You know, one thing I want to mention, got to give props to Ali. You know, the bunny, the butcher, the blade, the bunny. Oh, my God. I just fucking got scared shit. That fucking title fell. All right, we'll leave it for now. We'll leave it for now. That shit just scared me, man. Anyway, let's give credit to Ali. Not because she's beautiful also, but she did a really good thing. You did a good thing. She is helping someone who has been diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And for those that don't know, last week, Allie had auctioned off one of her outfits on eBay. Now, she's now the bunny, so the outfits that she used to wear before, she no longer wears right now. And this person, they have a GoFundMe page for, because she's got tons of medical bills, going through chemo. Originally, she thought she had the flu. She had a gallbladder taken out. Then she had like liver blockage. I mean, this woman's really going through hard times. And the reason why I wanted to mention it is because there is a GoFundMe going right now. And if I read you the link in full, you wouldn't know what it is. Even if you played this back 10 times, you'd still be writing it. I made a tiny URL out of it. If you go to tinyurl.com/Bridget GFM for GoFundMe, they have a drive going right now. They're trying to raise $50,000. And I thought it was so sad because this drive has been going now for 2 weeks, and they've only made 1,800 of the 50,000. over half of that is Allie's outfit alone, because Allie raised almost $1,100 for this woman. So I wanted to give a little bit of props to Allie because I didn't see anybody else talking about it. And this was something that was really like close to her. So I just wanted to give her props. I thought that was a wonderful thing to do. As far as AEW Dark tonight, the only thing that I know so far is that Jimmy Havoc was facing Sonny Kiss. The Dark Order was facing the Jurassic Express. And Hikaru Shida was supposed to have a match. I don't know who she faced. If anybody in the chat knows, don't put the spoiler up, but just let me know, who her opponent was. Moxley beat Ortiz today. After the match was over, we had Jericho on commentary, and Jericho was funny as hell on commentary. After the match was over, we had Ortiz basically, he's in the ring with Santana and Guevara, and Jericho's basically in commentating. So Moxley gets the upper hand. He's got Jericho's keys, and they do it was a good visual. It looked great on TV, but it looked like Moxley stabbed Santana in the eye with a key. Now, that's record time to be medically cleared, because they announced at the end of the night that next week Santana is going to face Moxley eye for an eye, whatever that means. I mean, it would be pretty funny, because if it's eye for an eye and Moxley's already wearing an eye patch and Santana now has one of his eyes taped, what does that mean? That all of a sudden, eye for an eye. What does that mean? The other person's eye gets injured? What are they going to do? Both of them already have one eye screwed up. So what does that even mean? Eye for an eye. The other person's going to have both eyes messed up? I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But the match was fine. It was a great opener. Best Friends versus SCU, was a decent match. There was one point right before they went to a commercial where all four participants were laid out outside the ring. And Orange Cassidy just walks right in the middle of them. He decides he's going to lay himself out on the floor also. It was a fun match. SCU gets the win. After the match was over, the Dark Order hit the ring, and they're beating down SCU and Best Friends. Orange Cassidy hits the ring. You got 5 members of Dark Order on this side, Orange Cassidy on this side. Evil Uno takes out a mask to give to Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy basically puts his hands in his pocket. They beat him down. Christopher Daniels makes the save, and, again, they continue teasing that Christopher Daniels, they want the Dark Order. I don't know if that'll end up happening, but whatever. Again, Britt Baker taking on Yuka Sakazaki. If you look closely, when Britt Baker's entrance started and the fireworks were going, if you see, she walked backwards and she almost fell on her ass. She definitely, we're stumbling on her feet a little bit. The match was not good at all. Yuka Sakazaki, I think, deserved a better opponent. Britt Baker, if she's going to be in matches, she's got to just totally destroy her opponent. They just totally destroy the opponent. Do not do anything like this today, because you could see Sakazaki trying to do things in the ring, and Britt Baker just doesn't have that experience yet. She may have experience down the line, but right now she doesn't have it. We did see Sakazaki get the win, surprising win. Felt like a Riho win. I think you know what I'm talking about. Then after Britt Baker hits her with the ring bell, looked pretty lame. Puts her on the rope where her mouth is against the rope, and then, the whole tooth thing that I said earlier. I just think the camera work was just not good with that. It wasn't good at all. They tried, but, Britt Baker's getting heat from the crowd, no question. But, the problem is that she really can't back it up in the ring like that yet. So, we'll see what happens. Butcher and the Blade, along with the Lucha Brothers, they win, defeating the Young Bucks, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. As I said earlier, once again, you got double teaming, triple teaming, and the ref doing a home alone, doing a home alone. And I just don't understand. If you're going to have fun matches like that, why not just make it no DQ? Or if you're in a particular town, why not just do like they would say, Texas Street Fight, New York Brawl? It's just, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. By the way, speaking of where they were tonight, I told you Monday this was going to happen. I don't know why look, I understand older wrestling fans that have that connection with Missy Hyatt or maybe even Austin Idol when they were young fans watching wrestling. But for the most part, fans of today could care less about Austin Idol, could care less about Missy Hyatt. And it's a shame because they are legends. They deserve to be in Hall of Fames, no question. But when you think they would have learned when we saw that other tribute that AEW did recently, there was no way, shape, or form that Missy Hyatt and Austin Idol were going to be featured on television. They did show them on video on social media, which was nice, and they got a nice ovation. But again, if you're going to do a tribute to Continental Wrestling and you just bring two people out, what, you know what I mean? I mean, just say like, we're just, Missy Hyatt is our special guest this week, or Austin Idol or something like that. That's not a tribute. Imagine having a wrestling event. Oh, we're going to pay tribute to ECW, and then you show up and they just bring out two wrestlers. Now, if ECW was 100 years ago and everybody's dead and there's only two wrestlers remaining, that's fine. But I thought Missy Hyatt looked fine today. She's an older woman. She looked fine. I didn't have any issues with it. But I just thought the whole plugging of, we're paying tribute to Continental Wrestling. I'm like, yeah, I know they're trying to get a couple of extra ticket sales out of it, but it was so freaking lame. It was lame. It was nice for Austin Idol and Missy Hyatt. I'm sure they had a great time. Absolutely. But, it just felt cheap on AEW's end. But, they did what they did. Kip Sabian, taking on Joey Janela. It was a fun match. The crowd was into it. Kip Sabian gets the roll-up victory. The referee was not looking, and he had to pull it tight, so he got the win. Like I said, they're advertising Santana versus Moxley next week, eye for an eye. In 2 weeks in Atlanta, they could have a tag team battle royal with the winner facing the tag champs at Revolution. For me right now, my early thinking is the Young Bucks win that battle royal, and maybe my mind changes in 2 weeks, but that's my original thinking. There's got to be something where Kenny Omega has a lot of respect for the people that he's facing in the ring, and I think the Young Bucks fit that perfectly, and Hangman Page is a little fed up with the too much camaraderie, and maybe it cost them the tag team title win, and then they have the falling out. I think that falling out probably happens at Revolution. I know a lot of us thought there would be a falling out beforehand, but now it seems they're milking it all the way to Revolution. And hey, if it comes off good, no complaints from my end. Next week is, in 2 weeks, Wardlow versus Cody in a cage. That will be taking place from Atlanta, I should add. In 3 weeks, we get Pac versus Kenny Omega, 30-minute Iron Man match. Early in the night, how the whole thing went down with Rio and Nyla Rose. Rio was going to be interviewed. Pac comes out. Kenny Omega's still in the ring after their loss. And Pac is basically telling Kenny Omega that, answer my challenge, kind of teases that he's going to hit Rio. And Kenny Omega's like, look, you want your match, you got your match. And then you have Pac basically saying, like, look, I may be a bastard, but I'm not a beast. And he says, I'm not going to put my hands on Rio. He walks away, and that's when Nyla Rose immediately attacks Rio and tries to put her through a table, but does not succeed. The end tonight, the 10 lashes with the belt, very physical. Nothing against, what's the guy's name? David Lagana? Is that his name? David LaGreco, I think it is. No, I think it's LaGreco. These people talking about how they were fearing that this was going to be too much for TV and too disturbing. Man, shoot some testosterone in your ass. I mean, my God. People predicting that this was going to be too uncomfortable for TV. I mean, what do you just watch Nickelodeon all day long? I mean, I grew up seeing, skits happen. I remember, I wonder if this guy was a wrestling fan in 1983 when Sergeant Slaughter whipped Bob Backlund when Bob Backlund was doing the Harvard step test. I mean, I remember Tommy Dreamer taking the Singapore cane from the Sandman. Didn't they do something with Tommy Cairo? We have seen James Storm. Didn't they do something with him in EC3? I mean, come on. People like, during the day, I'm reading this, and I'm like, please, just go play with your building blocks. Go, have tweet chocolate. Can't say tweet bang because I don't even think they can handle adult stuff. I'm reading this, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Too much for TV? Oh, I want to curse so much right now, but I don't want to give away any more prizes tonight. It's not even woke culture, Matthew. It was embarrassing. I mean, I give them credit for actually showing their face and looking like a goof on camera and saying it. I'm sure I come off looking like a goof on camera as well. But I'm reading that during the day. I'm like, man, these are people that I don't ever want to be friends with, seriously. Just like, oh, this is going to be too uncomfortable. It was brutal. That hurts. Let me whip you with a belt 10 times. It did what it needed to do. It got Cody over that much more. It got the fans hating MJF that much more. MJF did what he needed to do almost perfectly. You had the Young Bucks come out. Dustin at one point wanted to take the whipping for his brother. They did everything, excellent. And it gave me flashbacks of Dreamer with the cane and others. But it's not the first time something like this has happened, and hopefully we don't see it again for a very long time. Towards the end, right before he had his lashes done, Brandy came out. They had the camera on her, walking for like 5 blocks, and, she was visibly upset and, trying to make it like, look, this is real right now. This is not, Nightmare Collective. It did a fine job. This is obviously their semi-main event. You got Jericho Moxley, Cody MJF, and then whatever else happens. And, you probably have Young Bucks, Omega, and Page. I mean, that's the way to go. But I thought it was fine. Not everything tonight was great, but not everything tonight was bad either. There was a lot of good in it. I thought it was a fine show. If you want to get a couple of laughs, you had Alex Abrahantes. He was, they had like a pre-show tonight online before AEW. He was doing a couple of interview segments. He interviewed the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. He interviewed QT Marshall, and he also interviewed the Inner Circle minus Jericho. And it was funny because Ortiz was eating, I don't know, some type of meat. And they just started talking about Sazon seasoning. You ever hear that? Goya, I think, is probably the most popular brand. Sazon. My girlfriend loves that. She loves Sazon, and what's that one that they put on seafood? Oh, man, I can't remember. It's like reddish powder. Obey. I think it's Obey. Not Obey as in, they live, but Obey. Obey and Sazon. But the video's online if you want to go see it. I thought it was pretty funny. So, my favorite ECW pay-per-view, either the first one or Heatwave 98, probably my 2 favorites. So that was AEW Dynamite tonight. Again, if anybody out there knows what the other dark match was, especially Sheeta's match is probably the one that I'm missing. I don't know who she faced tonight. But let's move on over to NXT. Like I said, and again, I know this annoys some people out there, but NXT is not as eventful. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'll be honest with you. I got this weird vibe that NXT may win in the ratings this week. I'm not saying it's because of Charlotte, because all Charlotte did was cut a promo. They really didn't settle anything. I kind of feel bad for Bianca Belair, because it feels like some of the thunder was taken away from Bianca Belair, because remember, next weekend you have NXT TakeOver Portland, and she's facing Rhea Ripley, and everybody now feels it's all but definite that Rhea Ripley is retaining that night. I don't think you could have doubted that anyway, but the fact that they had Rhea Ripley show up on Raw, without waiting a week or two, because remember, last week with my prediction, I really don't want to annoy anybody, but if you remember last week, and yeah, you know what, why not? Because I feel like annoying the haters out there. I'll just play a minute of it, but if you remember last week on this show, I said this, and I say that with sincerity. WWE has instilled in our brain, for years and years and years, that the winner of the Royal Rumble faces either the Universal Champion or the WWE Champion. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So now, Drew McIntyre, every single person listening, when they announced that Drew McIntyre was going to make his decision, now we all figured it would be Brock Lesnar because of what happened at the Royal Rumble. But we all thought that either he's going to choose Lesnar or The Fiend. Plain and simple. I don't think anybody out there even thought about Adam Cole's name on Monday. So what I would do is I would postpone. I would tease Charlotte's decision for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and give the impression that she doesn't know if she's going to challenge Bayley or if she's going to challenge Becky. Just leave it at that. Then when they announce 2 weeks from now, this is just my idea. All right, this is just my idea. And I know this was not reported because this is an idea. This is not news. What I would do is wait about 2 weeks, maybe 3, and they announce Charlotte has made her decision of who she's going to face at WrestleMania. She comes out on Raw. She gets in the ring. She cuts a promo, hyping it up, getting everybody anticipating who she's going to choose. And right before she chooses it, Rhea Ripley's music hits. Rhea Ripley comes out, starts talking about how she's the NXT Women's Champion, or NXT Champion if people want to play semantics, and that she is the most dominant woman, this and that. This leads to confrontation, pull apart, people breaking it up. Fans will chant, "This is awesome." You have Charlotte trying to rip the hair out of Rhea Ripley, which she's going to have a hard time doing so, and Rhea Ripley pulling on Charlotte, this and that, and then Charlotte challenges Rhea Ripley because of that confrontation. That's what I would do, because nobody would expect Rhea Ripley to be the one, and that's how you hype it up. Now, the 2 weeks was very important because you don't want to take away from Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. On Friday last week, I talked about Bayley and Naomi. Feels like it's just filler until WrestleMania, which I've been saying for months will probably be Bayley versus Sasha Banks. None against Naomi. It's nice to see her back, but it feels like, okay, we're a little bit too far away from WrestleMania. We'll do that filler feud. In the meantime, now Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley feels like a filler feud because ultimately it's going to be Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. So that's why I honestly think they should have waited 2 weeks. Yes, I predicted it right, but I wish they would have. Now, look, Charlotte hasn't officially, it's not, you know what I mean? There's still a lot more to go. But I wouldn't have even had Rhea Ripley come out until after NXT TakeOver Portland. She retains, then she challenges Charlotte the following night on Raw. I don't know what. I don't know what just happened, everybody. I don't know. Are we still live? I think we're still live. I just had like a weird power surge for a couple of seconds. So I think we're still okay. But what I was going to say is, Charlotte, I know they wanted to have that on Raw tonight, on NXT tonight, and they hyped it up. And I don't know if that's enough for it to lead to NXT winning the ratings this week, but I don't know. What was the big deal about doing it this particular week? Yeah, everybody, I know, I got cut out for a second. I had something weird happen over here. I had literally a power surge in this room for about 2 seconds. Everything went off. I have a battery backup, thank God, because otherwise my computer would have shut down completely. Yeah, that was really weird. I never had that happen before. Somebody's trying to mess with us. But again, what was the big rush about Rhea Ripley making the challenge to Charlotte? That just makes no sense to me. But it is what it is. Now, before we go on, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about NXT, and then I'll give you my ratings prediction, because last week I was in the ballpark, not too off on the numbers, but you know, tonight really was to start progressing even more for NXT TakeOver Portland, because so far they have Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship. You have Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. They had the split screen confrontation today, which I thought was great. I mean, Gargano is not as polished on the mic as Finn Balor, but when Gargano said that he wants the NXT Finn Balor, not the Finn Balor who lost to Lashley on Raw 17 weeks in a row, the crowd popped for that. I popped for it. And, you know, they had a really good confrontation. I mean, like I said, Gargano's not spectacular on the mic, but they really, you know, hit it out of the park tonight. Balor saying that he doesn't want to have match of the year. He wants it to have the match of his life, Gargano's life, and in the last match of Gargano's life. You feel that feud building, and that's a match that I am really looking forward to seeing at NXT Portland. They also are hyping up for NXT Portland, the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Broserweights. That's why we had the six-man tag tonight, because Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, along with Adam Cole, they're defending their titles against Tommaso Ciampa, Matt Riddle, and Pete Dunne. Yeah, and as I just said, Cole versus Ciampa for the NXT Championship. Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox in a street fight. And we learned today, after Killian Dane lost to Dominik Dijakovic, or excuse me, I can't believe I just said that. Dijakovic! Still get slipped up with that. We might have to start doing, I may have to force myself to do a prize. Every time I say Dijakovic, I have to give something away. So no, Dijakovic beat Killian Dane today. It was a fine match. Killian Dane, I don't have that connection with yet. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that look, like him, the Viking Raider. Like there's a few wrestlers that have a similar look like that. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I don't have that. No, I actually think Killian Dane's name is fine. It feels British. It feels like the name feels like it matches the person. I'm just not connected yet where I want to stay glued to that match. But after Dominik Dijakovic won his match tonight, you had Mauro Ranallo talking about the fact that Dijakovic has beaten Killian Dane and Damian Priest 2 weeks in a row, and William Regal makes the match. It's going to be Keith Lee. And I think we talked about it last week that we would like to see that match take place at NXT Portland. So that will be taking place as well. So far, I got to tell you, this card on paper is extremely solid. There is not one match that I'm not looking forward to. If anything, it feels like the street fight might be the one that I might end up being disappointed the most at. But we had Angel Garza without Zelina Vega, Vegaless. He had a match tonight with Isaiah Swerve Scott. It was an excellent match. At one point, you know, I was joking online with a few people, and then I took it down. I was like, because, you know, look, they do it in all the feds. But one thing that I noticed tonight, you had Angel Garza doing the Dark Order. Not the Dark Order punches, the Blade punches. If anyone remembers last week, the Blade, the Butcher and the Blade, when he was throwing punches in the ring, like if the wrestler was like this tall, he was doing this, like punching over his head. Angel Garza did that tonight like 5 or 6 times in a row, and it looked kind of goofy. But, you know, the match was excellent, though. In the end, Angel Garza gets the win. Garza calls out Jordan Devlin. Then it was funny because then we see the Undisputed Era in the back. They're looking for Tommaso Ciampa. And you have random people in the back, and for some reason, some guy's getting his hair cut in the back. Now, if you're backstage, even if you worked in production, coffee, cook, toilet bowl cleaner, maintenance, janitor, security, Why would you be getting a haircut at 8:30 at night in the back room of a wrestling event? And the guy is like, hey, man, I'm just getting a haircut. I don't know if he was a Make-A-Wish survivor or maybe, because I don't think he had any hands. I don't think he had any arms, because you had one of the members of the Undisputed Era grab the razor and start shaving the guy's head, and he's just sitting there like this. He doesn't move at all. I mean, didn't move he's like, hey, man, I'm just getting a haircut. Why didn't he say, hey, man, what are you doing? Hey, man. He just did this. Horrendous, god-awful. Just really stupid. But at least after that, we got that awesome video package, the little vignette of Mercedes Martinez, or as Beth Phoenix said, Mercedes. Did she say? I think she said Mercedes. But hey, everybody makes mistakes, so we're not gonna, hold her for that. Sergeant Slaughter seen in attendance at ringside, which was nice. Mercedes Martinez makes easy work out of Casey Catanzaro. At one point, and she's done this before, but it's impressive. And by the way, if anybody follows me online, and if you were on over the weekend, I think last Friday, I played that clip of me sitting in the building for ABC Pro Wrestling in 2006. I found some old cell phone footage. That night, Mercedes Martinez was on that card as well. And I think it was an intergender match. I have to look it up. But tonight, she put Casey Catanzaro in a suplex. She held her high up in the air so all the blood could come rushing to her head, and then she let her hand go. She was just holding her up with just one arm for about 5 seconds, and 5 seconds is a lawfully long time. Very, very impressive. Very impressive. Then we see Gargano and Cole brawling in the back. This sets up a little bit of what's going to happen later. Jordan Devlin and Tyler Breeze having a match of the night. I'm a fan of Tyler Breeze, and he's a long-time listener, knows that I am. I don't like the buzz cut. To me, it takes away so much of his identity. I wish they would let him grow his hair again. He is still over with the crowd. It feels like he is more enhancement than anything else, and he's still a young guy. So it's not too late, for Tyler Breeze, but excellent match today. Excellent match. Then we had the Bianca Belair promo. She comes out. She doesn't care about any queen. She wants Rhea Ripley to come out. This leads to Charlotte's music cut. Charlotte is in the ring. The crowd is chanting, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. There was one thing I have to bring up too. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I'll bring it up in a minute. Some of you will appreciate what I'm going to bring up. But Charlotte is having a little bit of confrontation with Bianca Belair. She says how she's got a lot of respect for Bianca, that she's an amazing athlete, but Bianca Belair is not Charlotte. And Charlotte pointed out to Belair that Rhea Ripley is the one that overlooked Bianca Belair, because Rhea Ripley's the one that came out on Raw. So Rhea Ripley's music comes out. They have a little bit of a three-way insult. It seems like the crowd was more into Charlotte than anyone else. Obviously, she is now considered royalty because she's on the main roster for so long. But it was a fun segment. I wouldn't mind seeing Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair in a three-way before WrestleMania. Maybe you tease it in 2 weeks or the weekend. I don't know. But it wasn't bad. Then we have the main event. And early in the night, in fact, this opened up NXT tonight. We have, you have Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. They come out in the Broserweight mobile. It's basically a golf cart, and they kind of enhanced it a little bit with their names on it. I will tell you, I am an insurance guy. I've been doing it for 22 years now. And I know for a fact, because I've taught defensive driver classes before. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to drive a motorized vehicle with slippers on, because it's notorious that slippers could get caught under the gas pedal or between the gas pedal, and you will have a major accident. Even though it's just a golf cart and even though it's inside the building, whoever thinks that it's okay or smart for anybody to wear slippers riding any type of a motorized vehicle is foolish. Now, look, a golf cart, it doesn't go 20, 30 miles an hour, so that's probably okay. But, man, that's a no-no. But, it's Matt Riddle, so it is what it is. They were doing a comedy segment. They were talking about, how at NXT Portland, they're going to become the tag champs. They get interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, and it was so funny because Bobby Fish, he called them Matthew Rydell and Peter Dune, and, they were using Fish references, and Matt Riddle was making fun of Bobby Fish, saying that Fish is actually talking about fish because Bobby Fish said that, he's teasing that they got bigger fish to fry. So Matt Riddle starts doing this, and he had everybody clapping. And it was going, and I'll probably screw it up, but, I thought it was funny. He's like, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry a fish? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry a fish? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish fried a fish? How much fish could Bobby... But the way they did it, it was hilarious. And Pete Dunne, being as serious as it is, funny. I thought it was a great segment to open up tonight. Unfortunately, that had to go up against Moxley versus Ortiz, which, not a bad match, neither one. Main event tonight, you had Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, and Matt Riddle. They win by DQ against Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly due to interference from Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong was not in the match, and I know a lot of you, and I thought about it as well. Okay, Roderick Strong is the odd man out right now for a match. He doesn't have the belt anymore. Keith Lee does. So, what's going to happen with Roderick Strong at NXT Portland? Well, we may have gotten our answer because the lights go out at the very end. There was a 3-minute rover on everyone. If you follow Monday, you know why I'm bringing it up. But apparently Ms. and Mrs. was going off the air still on schedule. I need to bring that up. But it was interesting because Velveteen Dream is back. And he was attacking, he did a dive onto some of the members in the Undisputed Era, but he wanted Roderick Strong because, remember, Roderick Strong got the title back then, and they have rekindled their feud. So it looks like we will see Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong go at it for a little while, and that's not a bad thing. So NXT, a fun show. If you asked me which show I liked more, I got to be honest with you. The Cody segment, you knew it was going to be brutal because getting slapped in the back is tough. I'm going to say something that I know a ton of you out there will agree with me on. My father, I love him to death. He's an old school Italian off the boat. When I was a kid, I got whipped by the belt many, many times. And whipped really, really bad. You see that segment in Goodfellas with the kid in the beginning? When he cut out of school and the father found out and he got whipped with the belt. Happened to me many times. Happened to my brother too. And he would always make sure that we had no shirt on or, just having shorts on. And we get whipped pretty good. I mean, it stopped once I became 14 years old. But I know a lot of you out there know what it's like to get whipped with a belt when you're young. And so you knew that it was going to hurt. But you also knew that they had to go balls out with this because if Cody's not left with crazy marks, the segment will just not have that emotional tie to it. And, that segment I enjoyed the most. There were other moments tonight on AEW that I enjoyed as well. But to be honest with you, from start to finish tonight, I enjoyed NXT that much more. Individual segments, AEW probably had some better ones for me. But overall, I thought NXT entertained me from start to finish a lot more. But once again, if you go back and replay what I just said about the overview with NXT, they don't do more things that stand out. You have 2-3 interview segments. You have 2-3 matches that go, a lot longer. AEW's matches have gone shorter than in previous weeks. That has happened a lot. Not every match, but a lot of matches are shorter when you actually add up the match times. But I honestly could say that NXT entertained me a little bit more this week. And Moxley in the beginning with Ortiz was fun, and what transpired after, I just don't know if some of those other matches really kept people's interest. So now last week with the ratings, I had predicted 888,000 for AEW, and I predicted 734,000 for NXT. The actual numbers were 828 for AEW instead of 888, and NXT drew 712. I had said 734, so I was pretty close with that. So now this week, I have a feeling that AEW may actually, oh boy, I think we may have some additional viewers this week overall from last week. I want to say that AEW drops down to about 785,000 viewers, which is still impressive. They have gone down 4 weeks in a row in the numbers. I just can't see AEW losing that much more. I said before they even had their first ever show, I said, I think that their ratings are going to settle somewhere between 700,000 and 800,000 viewers. I tend to think you might have lost some viewers in hour number 2. So I'm going to say, all right, I'll probably be wrong on this, but I'll say AEW has 795,000 viewers. No, I'll say 785. 785. And NXT, I think, gets a little bit of a jolt. I think NXT goes from 712 up to about 777. So 767. So I'm going to say AEW barely wins, but I'm going to say 785 to 767. So let's see. I know I'm probably undercutting AEW a little bit, but I'm just thinking back to hour number 2. The Cody segment definitely drew. Without a doubt, it drew. And if AEW is going to dominate this week, it's probably because of that segment more than anything. So, by the way, I was talking about Moxley earlier. He did an interview with Fightful.com. It's a great interview. It's about 25 minutes long. The one thing that I loved about this interview, he's wearing the eye patch. The guy is, I mean, he's having so much fun that, you know, brings back a little bit of kayfabe. He's wearing the eye patch wherever he goes. You got to love that, man. You got to love that. And thank you, everybody who let me know last week when Britt Baker said now Cleveland has a Baker they could trust in. She was making fun of Cleveland Browns' quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I didn't even put the two together. So props to everybody out there who brought that to my attention. Now, speaking of Fightful, yeah, they did a great interview with Moxley. But when they reported this week that WWE told the new NXT stars not to talk to dirt sheets, and there was all this buzz that the company told the NXT stars that they need to provide proof of health coverage, I'm going to tell you this straight out. That is an absolute lie. That is an absolute, just an attempt to try to be newsworthy when it's not true. If anybody goes back with me for a couple of years, I'm an insurance guy for 22 years. I know exactly how health insurance works. I sell it. All right. WWE requires every single, and this is why, again, I don't pay attention to almost any sites out there. And most of them are garbage. And any Tom, Dick, or Harry could read stuff word for word from a website and think that they're a podcaster or a web wrestling news web writer, whatever. But I brought this up before, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing again because we're just about done. But I have mentioned before that WWE, whenever they hire wrestlers, new talents, they go over their pay, they go over their benefits, and before they even agree to a deal, they are also told that they have to supply themselves with their own health coverage. Now, you may get paid an extra 10 grand from WWE to offset the fact that you have to buy your own health coverage. But around this time, every year, is when Obamacare, or you're not really Medicare because that's for older. But if you're going to sign up for, the Affordable Care Act, or you're going to sign up for some medical plan, unless you're a new hire, or you have to go by a certain date. Now, if I had no health insurance right now and I wanted to buy it in July, I could. If I wanted to buy it in November, I could. They don't have to wait by a certain day. But WWE every year has a particular date that they tell everybody, look, please provide us a certificate of insurance that shows that you currently have health coverage. They want to make sure you are covered. So this idea that WWE had a meeting with all the new NXT stars and said, don't talk to wrestling news sites, don't talk to dirt sheets, and you also have to all go out and get your own health coverage. You don't think in a job interview before they even got hired, you don't think WWE said, okay, we're willing to pay you this. We're willing to give you this much paid vacation. We're willing to give you this, but you think they hired them and then had a seminar in the Performance Center and then sprung it to everybody there, oh, by the way, you have to buy your own health coverage. What? Damn, I didn't know that. What? Anybody that wrote that, you just know that they're the bottom of the barrel. That is a lie. Before someone even gets hired, they know. I know. Anybody that's a long-time listener knows. Every wrestler has to buy their own health coverage because they're not an employee of WWE. Those wrestlers that you see on AEW television, unless they work in management, they all have to go out and get their own health care. But if you hire someone, when you say, oh, one day WWE will provide health care for everybody, that sounds wonderful. But if WWE hires you and says, look, we can't provide you health care because you're not an employee of us, you're an independent contractor, but what we'll do is we'll give you an extra $1,000 a month to cover for your health care premium. That's how it works. That's part of the deal. That's part of the contract. Lawyers look at this. It's signed. You don't sign this deal and then you have a meeting. Oh, by the way, so these nimrods that wrote that this week, what they wrote is an absolute lie. I am 1,000%. All you got to do is look on WWE Corporate and you'll know all this. They every year, just like with me, with insurance contractors, painters, plumbers, home improvement, when in New York, you have what's called an insurance tracking number. The Department of Buildings will keep on record copies of your general liability insurance, your workers' compensation insurance, and your disability insurance. And every time it renews, you have to send a certificate of insurance to the Department of Buildings, the licensing division, to show that you still have insurance. If you do not give them updated certificates of insurance and you go to pull for a permit because you want to work on somebody's house, the licensing division will say, no, I don't think so. Give us proof that you still have current insurance. Every year, every WWE star has to provide a new certificate of insurance to show that they still have coverage with a health provider. That is just part of their deal. So anything you're reading out there, please, especially these websites where you don't even see the person's face. It might be a baby picture or when they were in their junior prom, but they're just too embarrassed to show themselves. They're just looking for attention. Do not buy that crap. It is a lie. It is a lie. It's a lie. Now, Double or Nothing. Earlier I mentioned it for AEW. Tickets will go on sale Friday, Valentine's Day. AEWTix.com, Access.com, AXS.com. It's going to be at the Garden Arena on May 23rd. For fans in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, Dynamite will be coming to the UWM Panther Arena, I believe it is. Tickets go on sale this Friday, February 7th, and that will be going down Dynamite on April Fool's, so that should be interesting. St. Louis, Missouri, AEW Dynamite will be going down on Wednesday, April 8th. Tickets go on sale this Friday as well. Now, for any of you out there that live on the Northeast, I don't know if you're looking to go to the Toy Fair, which I believe is on February 22nd. AEW will be there along with Jazzwares, I think it is. They're going to be coming out with AEW toys, figures, I believe. and they're going to be at the New York Toy Fair. You might have heard me shout out Bob O'Mac, Undercover Capes on Monday shows. He is actually going to be there. I think he's going to have a booth, and he invited me along with a few others. So I already talked to my fiance about it, and she's like, yeah, I'll go. So if any of you out there are looking to go to the Toy Fair, February 22nd in New York City, looks like I will be there. Shaheen, anyone else, let me know if you guys are going as well. We can make a nice, fun day out of it. You know, to me, I look forward to that 1,000 times more than C2E2 because I'm not into comic books and all that other stuff. But toys, I love toys. I'm never too old to have toys. So, yeah, so we'll go there and we'll actually probably see like some AEW toys and everything like that. So, yeah, let me know. Definitely let me know if you can do that. Now, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know exactly how long I went because we had that quick little spurt before. I think it was about 2 hours, but had fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. I honestly don't know what happened with the electrical gods earlier, but that was a little scary because everything flickered in this room for a minute, and I don't have this crazy equipment here that would cause a power surge. But thank God, you know, everything stood connected for the most part. But everyone, keep spreading the word. If you like this, keep telling your friends about this channel. Get them to subscribe. You know, now I'm starting to understand why the like button is so important here because YouTube will show your footage elsewhere. So everybody listening, if you could put a like, if you don't like it, put a dislike. I'm fine with either one. But put a like or a dislike because apparently the more of those I get, the more exposure my stuff gets. And I want to give a shout out to Dells, who is the one putting up a lot of the, all of the mini clips for the most part on my page. Shaheen for his awesome artwork. And Mish is still in Chicago, by the way, everybody. I talked to him tonight, and he was going to try to start driving back to Philadelphia tonight. Problem is, it was supposed to start snowing in Chicago tonight, and they're supposed to get a lot of snow. I checked the weather forecast for Indiana and some other states that Mish would have to drive through to get back to Philly, and they all have snow scheduled for tomorrow as well. So I don't, if Mish got stuck in Chicago, I don't know how many more days he would be forced to stay there. So as far as breakfast soup this weekend, you know, we may have to hold off for one more week. I'm not sure yet, but I don't know if Mish was able to get on the road today. I know once he got on the road, if he was going to drive tonight, he was going to go straight through to Philly and just try to beat the snow entirely. So I'll definitely keep everybody updated. And Garth is saying for me to share the link from my channel. I share it on Twitter all the time. I will put it on the other websites too. In fact, I think I do have it on there. It'll say click here to subscribe. But yeah, keep spreading the word, everybody. I mean, that's the ultimate, you know, thank you could give me. And I'll be back again. A lot of you have been asking me to come up here on Friday one more time for like a Don Tony show. We did it 2 weeks in a row, and it was phenomenal. I'm leaning towards doing it. It'll definitely be a very abbreviated show because talked about so much this week. In fact, I was thinking about taking off next Monday because I just exhausted myself with so much that we talked about. I don't know what there is to talk about next Monday. Sure, anything could happen between now and the weekend, but right now there's not a whole lot to get into. But it looks like I'll be back here Friday, 10:15 p.m. right after Smackdown. You know, look, I'm starting to understand that even if I do 30-minute spurts on YouTube over here, that's not a short time. I think people are used to always seeing 2 and 3 hour shows and are used to that, but I am noticing a lot of shows on YouTube. Their shows are 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long, and, you know, everybody loves them. So I don't want anybody to feel disappointed if I do a 30-minute show. I think I got to really start getting used to that. So look, even if it's 45 minutes on Friday, I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about. We could also go over the AEW NXT ratings, see what it comes out. So yeah, I will. I'll be off Friday. I'll be on Friday. Excuse me. So if you want to tune in live, you're more than welcome to right here, 10:15 p.m. I only cursed twice tonight. 2 curse words. Almost perfect. And did it really hurt the show in any way? I don't think so. Everyone be well. Thank you for the support as always. And I'll be back Friday, 10:15 p.m. with your next installment of The Don Tony Show. Everyone be well. I'll catch you all again soon. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.